There are so many technologies that are either evolving or, in some cases, completely disrupting how we've thought about the world, and that applies to the future of warfare as well. So we are at a technological moment of opportunity, where figuring out how to harness those technological changes is a critical part of getting the answer right. We're also in a period of post-war drawdown, and even as we deal with threats like ISIL in Iraq and Syria, overall defense spending is coming down, the size of the force is coming down, and while in the near term that pressure creates a burning platform to think about new and more effective and efficient ways of doing things, a burning platform, if you will. The truth is, the underlying that is a tremendous uncertainty that makes it very, very hard to plan beyond a single year, makes it very hard for the department and industry to make the kind of strategic investment decisions that we need to underwrite innovation.
While I would not presume to identify the mistakes these companies made, I would suggest how important it is to have long-range plans that forces leaders to constantly seek and identify what's next on the horizon, and then innovate and accelerate toward it. To accomplish this, we must have a healthy, competitive businesses that bring the outside in and challenge the status quo, not just technically with our products, but through our business models and enabling partnerships, all of it enabling innovation. Steve Jobs himself said, "Innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. Our industry, our country, must lead." That is the history we want to write.
And every time you pick up the paper, there's just a new challenge that emerges. It's very difficult for the department to set priorities. So you mentioned the QDR. Innovation comes up all the time. Maintaining our technological edge comes up all of the time. But the need to understand exactly what that means and where and focus. Is it the Middle East? Is it Asia? Are we thinking about cyber or are we thinking about Ebola? It's very difficult to pick, and I think that understandably that is a challenge for industry as they ask to understand what's our vision, what are our requirements earlier in the process. Obviously, that's a good thing. I think there's a lot of effort to try to prioritize. But frankly, the priority that the department set was more generally on S&T. Because even if we can't afford to field big new programs in a budget downturn, we have to maintain our technological edge and continue to invest in S&T and R&D.
We've never ever predicted the future right that I know of. We get close sometimes, but we never get it real right. So you kind of got to hedge your bets a little bit. But I would think we should look at as a country of where we have asymmetries. And I would, I could go through a list of 10 of them, but I would start with ISR, for example, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance. We have a huge advantage there. And we need to continue to do that type of thing. Chris with the P8, for example. I also think space. And it was mentioned earlier that the reference to space. Right now there are, we were at one time in 1960 when Apollo was launched, we were the monopoly in space, almost. Russia was competitive. And now there are 51 countries with satellites in space, 51. And what worries me is we have become, for example, from an innovation standpoint, we have become so hugely dependent on precision and GPS for timing and accuracy that I think that's a vulnerability that we take for granted. It's like air.